go on that journey in any category, in any range we do. We can do that going through interconnects, starting with copper cables, going on to better copper cables, zero-tech copper cables, silver cables. We can do that on a power cable, starting with a stranded copper cable, going up to solid copper cables and silver cables. We can do that everywhere, but speaker cables is a nice way of doing it because it's one we can all relate to. The thing about speaker cables and interconnects is people have lots of different opinions because everyone likes a different kind of sound. And that's fine, we all enjoy different things. So some people listen to it and go, I like it, some people say, I'm not so sure. So we're going to do something now which is very different, and we're going to show you just how bad some parts of a hi-fi system can be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the power cable. I'm actually going to change on the router. So, and turn off this Lumin. I'm only going to change the power cable on the router. I'm not going to do it, and then I could do the whole system if you like. But let's just start off with just the router. I'm going to plug in this basic cable that's running out of a normal little extension lead, and then after that, where's my other Z3 one? After that, I can use this NRG Z3. This is one of our stranded cables. This has that same technology we use in those base cables, that ground noise dissipation, and it has our zero characteristic impedance. So it's a really cool design of power cable. How much is a 1 meter NRG Z3, please, Daniel?
349.
Okay. If you feel that's not a very flexible cable, it's quite stiff. That's because whilst this is a stranded cable, it's got a small number of thick strands inside it, and that is important. Using a lot of very, very thin strands is going to be a compromise. This is a US plug on the end because I'm going to plug this into our Niagara power filter we're using. So I'll be doing 2 changes at once really, simply because I don't have a basic American power strip here. But what we'll do is we'll play. We'll play a track on the Lumin. No, not the Lumin. I don't know. I'm going to play a track on the CD player. Sorry, on the DAC. I wasn't going completely mad. Lumin. We can do the Lumin next. That'll be fun. So I'm going completely mad. We're using the Accuphase as a DAC. So we run in the basic power cable into the Accuphase, and then we'll change that to the NRG Z3. So I'll play this for about 1.5 minutes, and all I'll do is pull the power cable out of the Accuphase, plug in that NRG Z3 cable, which is running out of our Niagara power filter. That's the third in our range of power cables. Sorry, third in our range of power cables. There's 9 models above it, so there's a long, long way to go.
Hard time forgetting, even hard to forget. Before you do something, you might regret, friend. Hard time forgetting, even hard to forget. Before you do something, you might regret, friend.
Seconds from the beginning, just so used to it, because it's quite a fast track, and then we'll change that power cable.
Hard time forgetting, even hard to forget. Before you do something, you might regret, friend. Hard time forgetting, even hard to forget. Before you do something, you might regret. You might regret, friend. Took me for granted, but call it love if you will. I'm aware of this. I didn't let you in. Sing for you to swim. Dancing on the ledge. Tried to make you stay. I didn't let you in. Broke to what became you and me. Tried to mend it, but I can't mend the truth. Bricks are caving in. Oh, how sweet this is. I left you the keys. You won't let me. Hard time forgetting. It's hard forgetting. Before you do, son, you might regret, friend. Hard time forgetting. It's hard forgetting. Before you do, son, you might regret, friend.
You'd be strange up there. You're not sure at the back there. How are we doing there? We've just changed one power cable on one device. Everything else is already running through the Niagara, and we've just changed the power cable on the CD player that we're using as a DAC from a basic cable from the wall into a decent cable out of the Niagara. You're not sure? Do you want me to go back to the first one?
It's like changing your car again. Then you
Sorry?
No, not a whole lot of difference. Not a whole lot.
Any thoughts over here? Different? Same? Not sure? Do you want me to go back to the first one?
It's very obvious.
Okay. So for me, it's just tighter bass,
Yes.
more top end, cleaner, bigger, fuller, and that's just a stranded power cable. There's many levels we can go up, but rather we can play all of those things, but again, it's the same difference as we go up, as we went through with the speaker cable. This is where our power range starts. This is the Niagara 1200, current price, Daniel?
1,800.
1,800 Singapore dollars. What does the Niagara do? Down the bottom there, we've got the really big beast, the Niagara 7000, which weighs 43 kilos, and it's got 12 outlets on there. But it also costs
15,000.
15,000. So what do we get for just over 10% of the price, which is far more relevant to a lot of people? The Niagara does two things. Number one, it's a surge protector. Number two, it is a noise filter. When it comes to surge protecting, a lot of people think about surges as enormous high voltage occasions, great big things that will come in and destroy everything in your house. That is relevant. You know, if you get a lightning strike, for example, that's really, really bad. Anyone here ever had a lightning strike in their house? Yes? Oh wow, okay man, you need to buy this stuff. These were, normally people say no, and I get on to the point of microsurges. So onto the lightning strikes and massive high voltage surges. These will protect you against up to 6,000 volts and 3,000 amps. So they will take a direct hit from lightning on your house. If you have more than 6,000 volts or 3,000 amps coming into your house, then your house is already on fire and the cables in your wall are melting, and you just need to get the hell out of there. Get your kids, get the dog, you know, whichever one you prefer, and get out of there. So in terms of catastrophic surges, you're covered. Those are quite rare though. They don't happen very often. What you need to worry most about are microsurges, tiny, tiny little mini surges that can happen hundreds of times a day. So if I stand here next to my colleague Robert and I just flick his arm like this all day long, I'm not going to break his arm, but by the morning he'll have a massive bruise on his arm. You can imagine those little microsurges coming into your system. That's what causes the very delicate components inside your TV, your AV receiver, your electronics to degrade earlier than they should do and to fail prematurely. So these don't just take away the massive hits, they also filter out all of those microsurges. Now, normally there are two types of surge protectors in the world. There are those that have failed and those that have not failed yet. So most surge protectors have what is called a joule rating, and they'll absorb a certain number of joules and then they no longer protect you. 1 joule is 1 watt absorbed in 1 second. So some surge protectors might have a rating of 2,500 joules or 3,000 joules, and that's cumulative. So once it's absorbed that much over its lifetime, there's a little thing inside called an MOV, which is a metal oxide resistor, a small little round chip, and that thing pops, and then you no longer own a surge protector, you own a large, expensive 4-way or 6 or 8-way mains block. Niagara doesn't work like that. It will automatically shut down if the incoming voltage exceeds, in this case, 270 volts, or drops below, I think, 170. It will dissipate the energy that it receives back down the back into the wall and away from your system, and it will automatically reset itself when the current comes back within range. So you never ever need to replace it. It's called set it and forget it. What have we got there? Oh, we can go up the level of power cable in a minute. This will be fun. So that's what we get on surge protecting. We stop your equipment being damaged by catastrophic strikes, and we stop it failing prematurely. Then we get on to signal filtering. And noise on the incoming power line can mask or cover up to 30% of the fine detail in our system. That's the treble, it's the clarity, there's also that tight, punchy snap we get on our music. Where does that noise come from? Well, there's two types of noise. There's what we would call linear noise, which is noise that comes in on the incoming power line. And then there's ultralinear noise, which is the noise generated by other devices in your house. So the noise on the incoming power line can have a very high level of distortion. Here in Singapore, I think your signal should, in theory, be cleaner than many other markets. However, you have to remember our electrical grids were designed to light an incandescent light bulb in about 1885. They were not designed for the level of very, very dense urban living we have. So you might say, hey, our power's great here, but honestly, if you were a farmer who lived in the middle of nowhere out in the fields of Scotland, you'd have cleaner power than you would here in Singapore, because there's so many things generating noise. So your power is stable, but it's not clean. Then we have the issue of ultralinear noise, which is the noise generated by everything else in your system. That's the noise generated and given off by your microwave, your refrigerator, your mobile phone charger, your computer, anything with a switch mode power supply. All of those things take power in and they pump noise back out. And that's incredibly bad for your system. Now the Niagara 1200 we have here will filter out linear noise. Above that we have models, the Niagara 3000, 5000, 7000 will filter out ultralinear noise. They also filter out the noise inside your own system. Now, because I've been given another cable, I will very quickly play 30 seconds of the track of that NRG Z3, which is our stranded cable. I can't use that, that's a 20 amp connector.
Okay, you can't play. Sorry.
I can't use that. And then I won't play that cable because it's got a massive 20 amp connector on it, so we don't need
Can
that.
I ask, does the American 3-pin and the UK 3-pin make any difference? Why not?
The Audiophile version that's used is the American one. A 3-pin cable is ideal because your phase is always secure. The European Shaw-Cotterill plug is 2-pin, but it could be either way up, so it's very easy to get the phase wrong. And the phasing does make a difference. The English plug, so the UK 3-pin plug we have here, the UK, Malaysia, Hong Kong, has a fuse in it, so that's a barrier to the signal. That's our live feed is going through a fuse, which is an obstacle. There are people who will sell you an audiophile fuse for a crazy amount of money, and it is quite funny how much they'll charge for some of these things. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to turn this off. I'm going to pull out that power cable. I'm going to show you. A fit test. So something with a 3-pin is good, something that's phased is good. Another advantage of the American plug is you can actually have a very, very tight fit. There's 3 different grades of socket in the US. There's a standard socket, there's what's called a contractor socket, which is a much tighter fit, and then there's a hospital grade socket, which is designed really for medical environments. Anyone who's ever been to the US will know that you go to bed at night, you plug your phone charger in, you wake up in the morning, your charger fell out of the socket and it's on the floor, which is something that never ever happens here because you have an English socket. But weak plug sockets in the US are something we've all encountered. So a good firm hold is important. We often go to shows in the US where we'll have a wall built and we'll have standard socket, contractor socket, hospital grade socket, and then we'll have one of our sockets which is from the back of one of our Niagaras, and we challenge people to put the plug in and pull it out. So if I'm going to, just as you're here on camera, so if you like to push that into a socket first of all, so you can push it in, get a nice tight fit, give it a wiggle around, then pull it out. So it doesn't just fall out, it's quite a tight fit on the back there. But then if you want to come and try that on the back of the, find a spare socket on the back of the Niagara there, it should be an even tight. He's not going to bend down, he's a good willing participant. So as we go up to the range we get, so it's really tight going in, then when you pull it out, it is. So bang your head on the back. Excellent. I don't have a weakness ray over there that takes away people's power. So the fit is really important. So the type of plug is good. This plug here as well, we can have a decent copper plug. The worst plug is the Chinese plug and the Australian plug, which is that sort of the little slanted bit. And that's simply because when that format was being designed, the Chinese adopted it because they could stamp it out of brass very cheaply. They didn't have any copper resources, so it was all about minimising how many resources they used. It used to be the same plug used in America till the 1930s, which is why that exists. Then America moved to this design instead. So there we go. But yeah, decent big earth pin. As an audiophile connection, this is by far and away the best connection because it can be a very, very tight fit. There's no fuse to obstruct it, and it's phased, so you can't get things in the way. Any other questions on plugs? Yes, sir.
So I have a question. So if you have this conditioner,
Yes.
I mean, you still have to connect to the grid, right?
Yes,
so
you do.
Using the UK plugs.
Yes.
Isn't that you're going back to the original issue?
We can't control the grid itself. The one thing to consider though is the power cable coming to your house is going to be, even if it's like a standalone dwelling, it'll be 100 or 150 amp feet. It's going to be big, thick cables coming in. You'll have a solid core ring main normally in your walls, which is designed to take anywhere between 40 and 80 amps. The cable coming from the wall out to your equipment is the weak point because the standard version of that is going to be a very flexible, very thin cord. It's designed to take 5,000 bends without ever. It's designed to take about 5,000 bends without ever breaking or being an issue. So it's designed to be functional, not to give performance for the audio system, which to be fair to the people who wrote the standard, that's kind of what they were interested in. So the cable coming from the wall to your system is an obstruction because it's very, very thin stranded wire. It's also not really capable of delivering the level of current that your equipment can draw. It's designed to take 13 amps to absolute maximum, but your equipment, your amplifier might draw a sudden peak, a sudden surge of 20 or 30, even 40 amps. Just for that sudden moment where you get that bang, that big slam, that impact. And the cable will allow that to pass for a brief moment. It won't allow it consistently, that's when the fuse will blow, but it will allow it to pass momentarily if it has enough capacity to carry that. Yes, having a fuse is still a bit of a pain, it's in a way, but there's nothing you can do about it. We can't, well, you can. You could just buy something with US sockets and have US plugs on there. But if you have something with UK plugs on, that's the environment you're in. Rather than try and change that environment, just do as well as you can inside it. If I lived in China, I couldn't complain that no one spoke English. I just had to learn to speak Cantonese and Mandarin. Do what you can in the environment you're in. Any questions on power? Power is something that you really have to try at home in your own system and see what a difference it makes. It's also the first cable I'd ever change in the system because it's the biggest obstacle to performance. In the case of something like an amplifier, we can drain noise away, we can deliver more current to it. In the case of one of our source components, we can do incredibly well getting a cleaner signal into it. If we add in a power filter, we take away all that incoming noise. So changing the power is one of the first ways to improve a system. And one of the ways to get the best return on your investment. When you say, okay, this cable guy wants to take all my money, I believe some of this stuff, what should I buy first? I would always go with power first. And as I said, unlike speaker cables and interconnects where everyone might have a different opinion on sound, power is a bit like changing digital. It's a rising tide. Everything gets better at the same level. So jumping on from there, how am I doing? I better start wrapping up soon. Jumping on from there and talking about digital, what we'll do now is we're going to play some digital cables. Does that sound fun? Who believes in Ethernet cables? Well, the correct answer is I believe they exist. I don't believe they make a difference. I did that to a guy at a show one time. I believe they exist. Like, fair play, Rui. You got it. Okay, let me plug in my power cables again. I'm going to connect this with a standard Cat 5 or Cat 6? Cat 5 cable, okay? So we're not using Wi-Fi. Never ever use Wi-Fi. All of the electronics you have are designed to pass a safety standard called EMC, and that means they cannot be interfered with by wireless signals. So everything has to be designed to be shielded so it can't actually be interfered with. If you then put an antenna on the back to pick up all that noise and bring it in, you're dragging all that noise in, and you're also using interference as a means of signal transfer. So there's an enormous amount of noise on Wi-Fi. It is the worst possible performance you could have. What we're going to do here, now, going to use my phone to control this. This will be fun. Okay. I'm now going to use Tidal Connect to control the Lumin, and let's find a nice demo track that we can play. I'm going to play a track. What I'm going to have to do, this thing is clever. it buffers the signal inside. We did this earlier. We pulled out the cable, it carried on playing for about 45 seconds. So when I change the cable, I'm also going to physically turn off the Lumin, turn it back on, so it has to sync up again. So there will be a brief pause while it does that. But I'm going to play that generic cable, and then I'm going to change that to our Pearl Ethernet cable. This is our entry-level cable. Daniel, Pearl Ethernet, 75 centimeters, costs
$59.
$59 for 75 centimeters. That's nearly $1 a centimeter. That's insane. Let's see what it does. This is our solid core entry-level copper. It's our long-grain copper, but it's solid. Do you remember the difference we had when we went from a stranded cable to a solid speaker cable, a stranded interconnect to a solid interconnect? We'll do that. We've also got something that's well-made that drains away noise. There's nothing crazy or high-end about it. We'll see what different we get. The Lumin running to balanced, yes.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
I'll do the first 30 seconds again so you're really used to the track, and then we'll quickly change.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
What day is this time?
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
Okay. Same or different?
Not different.
So gentleman in the back there is bought a wireless active speaker. If you run a decent Ethernet cable to it, the difference is quite phenomenal. So let's just quickly power cycle this, and let's change for another cable. So that's Pearl, that's our entry-level cable. We're now going to go to Cinnamon. So Daniel, 75 meter Cinnamon.
$149.
Okie dokie. What is the difference from Pearl to Cinnamon? Cinnamon has a thin silver coating over its conductors. Why does that make a difference? Well, I was talking about how silver is the most efficient conductor. We never silver plate cables for full range analog audio, because if you make the surface of a conductor silver, you make part of it more efficient. High frequencies are very fragile. They travel mainly on the surface of the conductor. So if we make the surface more efficient, we are making it non-linear. We are making it a better conduit for high frequencies than for mid and bass. And we get that weird, distorted, bright, harsh sound. So silver plating cables for full range analog audio are terrible. For a digital signal, everything is high frequency. I need to check network connection. I probably will plug out in it. So for digital signal, everything is high frequency, and therefore, if we can treat part of the cable to perform better, then as that's where almost all of our high frequency signal is travelling, we will do a lot better just by using a bit of silver on the surface of the conductor. So a thin amount of silver, in this case 1.25% silver by diameter, will give us a significant improvement.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down, down in the river to pray.
Okay. So with Cinnamon, hopefully you found that it sounds like the women have rehearsed a bit better, they're more coherent, but the backing choir that start harmonising, that start singing, they come in sooner. Everything becomes cleaner and clearer. What we'll do now is we're going to change to a cable which is beloved of people in the east of Europe, called vodka. Vodka is a much thicker cable than cinnamon, as you can see. That is because vodka, as well as having 5% silver, rather than 1.25% silver, has multiple layers of foil and carbon wrapped around the outside of it. The foil is designed to be an antenna to pick up noise, but to turn it into heat energy, which is dissipated by the carbon. So with multiple layers, we stop that noise getting through into our equipment. We also have these. These are unique in that this plug is the only plug we use on any cables that is not made by us. It's made by a German company called Tennegartner. They make them as a medical standard, and we tried, and we could not make a better connector. So we always follow the adage of if you can't beat them, join them. So that's the only plug that we buy in. It is the same connector you'll find a lot of hi-fi companies using on their top models of cable. It performs incredibly well. One of the reasons is when you untwist the conductors, they're untwisted for a tiny distance before they get terminated in the plug. If you think of a Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable, when you untwist the conductors, sometimes you have a long run of flat conductors before they go into the connector. That's an enormous antenna. It might not sound like a big thing, but when our wavelength is so tiny I can line up 500 of them on the top of my phone, that's still going to pick up a lot of noise. Okay, so this is vodka. Again, with this I just start to listen to the silence between the notes and the overall clarity. How much smoother is it?
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to
easy, calm. Well now, let's go over crazy. Oh, how much was vodka, Dan?
Vodka's $6.99 for 0.75 liter.
That's crazy. I wonder if there's a more expensive one. Yes, there is. Okay, well, I've lost it down there somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so just for fun, and also because it sounds awesome. This is diamond. So diamond has the same plugs, same shielding. Diamond is 100% silver. Diamond also has this funky battery pack on it. This is not an MP3 player. Did I turn this off? No, I didn't. This is not an MP3 player in case your system breaks down. This is a little system which runs a constant high voltage, low current signal just through the insulation around the conductors in a cable. The reason for that is the best dielectric, the best insulation will be air, nothing touching the conductors at all. However, we need something to wrap around them. So, always, when our signal is passing down a metal conductor, if it's wrapped in some form of insulation, that dielectric is always absorbing a small amount of that charge. It's taking something away from our signal. It eventually becomes saturated, and many people will refer to this as running in a cable. Then, once it's saturated, it will then start to discharge back into the conductor. So our dielectric, our insulation, is always taking something away or adding in unwanted information. So this little battery pack here, and a bunch of batteries in there, it runs a constant 72 volt charge just through the insulation around the conductors. So there's an anode and a cathode inside the cable just running a constant charge, just keeping that insulation fully charged. That means it's in its own circuit, it's not taking anything away from our signal, nor is it adding anything else in. So the difference we get is a more three-dimensional sound stage, better separation between notes, and that perfect silence between notes. So let's hear what we get with solid silver and our DBS system.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down in the river to pray.
Okay, how's diamond? Nice? Smooth? Happy? Annoyed with me because it's really expensive? But if you have children, you could sell them probably. Yeah. One of my colleagues was doing a presentation in Japan, and he was saying, we treat our hi-fi like we treat our children. I said, God, no, these are audiophiles. They don't want children. They want to spend their money on their hi-fi. The point there is, on a digital signal, which people assume is all ones and zeros and must be perfect, it's not ones and zeros. It's, well, digital is represented as an analog square wave, which you think would be perfectly straight lines, but it's not. There's always noise and interference, and it always ends up looking more like an analog sine wave, and then Ethernet transmits as an analog sine wave anyway. So a digital signal, people assume is perfect, and they don't need to change it. But the difference you can get from changing a digital cable is enormous. Now, all the prices I asked Daniel to quote were for a 75 centimetre run of cable. And that's simply because that's the longest you need of a high-end cable. Because at the back of the system here, we've got a small little switch. There's a TP-Link switch here, you could use a Netgear, you could use anything. If you use a switch just before your system, so run any cable you like, you could use a basic Cat5 or Cat6 cable. Ideally, you'd use a basic Cat6 or Cat7 because those will perform better, even a basic free cable out of the box. Run something like that from your router to a switch behind your system. And then the switch, I'm not an expert on networking, but the switch does an enormous amount of the buffering, the packet re-request, isolates the signal, and the signal coming out of the switch is as good as it possibly can be. You then just have a good quality short cable from there into your network player or whatever you're streaming on. That's what makes the biggest difference. A lot of the time when we do shows and events, we might have a NAS drive or a router in one corner of the room. We could have an 8 or a 12 meter cable running from there to the back of the system where we'll have a switch, and we'll have maybe 6 cables coming out of it, and we'll just hot swap them and do demos that way. And that's where your biggest impact is. Yes, you can run Diamond Ethernet all around your house, and it would be lovely if you did, but there is a moment where I say to you, to be honest, you could spend the money elsewhere and get a bigger benefit. So you only need a short run there. Some people might need 1.5 meters, some people will go for 3 meter, but generally the short run is ideally all that you need. Any questions yet? Is there anything else we want to hear apart from seeing what difference those fog lifters make? Any requests? We haven't done much on the interconnects, but the changes we did in the speaker cables represent themselves as we go through the interconnects as well. So going through bigger cables, the zero tech, the improved metal, and also if you can come and grab me at the end and I can run through different things as well, or do some quick demos. But we've gone through the different rate types of speaker cables, that explains a lot of technology. We've gone through the digital cables, we've shown what power can do, we've shown what the network cables can do. So let's go back to something from my laptop and let's play something, and then we're going to put our speaker cable. Oh, but do you want to just start clearing all of the cables out of the way so we can get these things on fog lifters really easily?
Sorry, I got it.
Optical is not an antenna, it doesn't pick up any external noise. The only limitation with optical really is the quality of the optical converters at both ends. So a lot of the time people in the audiophile world will say, optical's rubbish, it's no good. Actually optical's a really, really good system because over distance there's minimal signal loss and interference. With a coax cable over distance, it's an antenna, it's going to pick up noise and add in interference. But with a coax cable there's no conversion stage to go through. With an optical cable you have to convert into and out of optical at each end. As we go up through the Audioquest range, the difference on the optical cables is the thickness of the fibres and the level of purity. Because on an optical cable, if we imagine the front of this speaker is an optical fibre, when we're sending a signal down, if we get to an impurity or we get to or an obstacle in the cable, our signal stops, or otherwise it bounces, it reflects and refracts around inside the cable. And that causes jitter. That means instead of going in a dead straight line, and it's the speed of light, which is insane, it's bouncing around. It's not getting to its destination exactly when it's meant to. And you might say, well, this is a ridiculously high speed, what does it matter? But we're dealing with signals at 96,000 or 192,000 times a second. If we suffer jitter and our signal is reflected around and doesn't reach its timing point when it should do, that timing point gets discarded. Jitter is simply losing digital information. So with our cables, as we go up through the range, we increase the purity of the cables, and then above cinnamon, rather than having one single conductor, there are multiple conductors. So carbon has 17 even thinner fibres, vodka has 217 really, really thin fibres. We used to do a cable called Diamond. We discontinued it first in 2012 because the factory was destroyed in the tsunami in Japan. It was discontinued again in about 2016 just because there wasn't enough demand for a really, really high-end optical cable out there. But in terms of transmitting noise from your Mac Mini to your N-scaler, the optical cable doesn't transmit any noise. It completely isolates both parts of the system, both parts of the system, so that's perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's run some play. Okay, so we're going to play this track, and then we're just going to put the little, oh, we've put them out already, we'll put our little feet, little legs under the speaker cable, see what difference it makes. Why have I got no sound? Line 1, not line 1, is it? It's not line 1, it is CD. I think I'd have learned this by now.
Cause it's a bittersweet symphony this life. You know the one that takes you to the places where all the things meet, yeah. And no change, I can't change, I can't change, I can't change. I am here in my mode, here in my mode. I am a million different people from one day to the next. I can change my mode, no, 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 no. Well, I never pray, but tonight I am on my knees, yeah. I need to hear some sounds that recognizes pain in me, yeah. I let the melody shine, let it cleanse my mind. I feel free now. But the airwaves are clean and there's nobody singing to me now. There's no change, I can't change, I can't change, I can't change. I am here in my mode, here in my mode. I am a million different people from one day to the next. I can change my
Okay. There we go. All of the fog lifters. Okay.
Cause it's a bittersweet symphony, this life. Trying to make ends meet, you're a slave to the money, then you die. I'll take you down the only road I have ever been down. You know the one that takes you to the places where all the things meet, yeah. And no change, I can't change, I can't change, I can't change. I am here in my mode, here in my mode. I am a million different people from one day to the next. I can change my mode, no, 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 no. Well, I never pray, but tonight I am on my knees, yeah. I need to hear some sounds that recognizes pain in me, yeah. I let the melody shine, let it cleanse my mind. I feel free now. But the airwaves are clean and there's nobody.
No joint, no coupling between here and the bass. So those are the fog lifters, and they're wonderful. We could make a really, really lovely chunky metal one or a wooden one for 5 times the price, but it wouldn't perform as well. So that's what we don't do. The whole thing about Audioquest is to give you the absolute best performance for your money without charging you more than you need. Having looked at some of the things or played some of these things here, it's important to explain how different models fit together. And it's really easy. Cables the same colour have the same performance. So we played, for example, this cinnamon Ethernet cable, and this is a red and black cable. Your Rocket 33 speaker cable at home is red and black. This Golden Gate cable here is red and black. We do a Red River cable, which is red and black. The power cable that you plugged into the back of the system for me, sir, is the NRG Z3, that is red and black. All of those cables are designed to have the same level of performance So if you find one cable you like, you say, hey, I like this, what else matches it? It's really easy to work across. Mark, you've got the Sydney cable at home, which is black, the Yukon cable, which is black, the matching speaker cable for that, my colleague Robert is just coiling off, is Rocky 44, which is a black cable. At the entry level, we have things like our Pearl Ethernet cable, our Tower interconnect cable, we do a Pearl USB, a Pearl HDMI, a Black Lab subwoofer cable. Again, all of those cables are white and black in this case, and they all have the same performance level. So it's really, really easy to look at any Audioquest model and say, hey, if I like that, this is what's going to go with it. Well, if you're not sure, ask your friendly importer. Oh, other important thing, I forgot to say this at the start, all Audioquest cables come with a lifetime warranty. So if you buy something, you don't need to worry about what's going to happen to it. You know, that warranty costs us almost nothing to enforce because, like I told you, we control everything ourselves, we make everything ourselves, we test everything ourselves 100% QC end of line. Nothing leaves our facilities unless we know it's working perfectly, and we've designed it to last. So it's really, really rare for anyone to have a problem, and when there is, we fix it. We don't argue, we don't quibble, we just, hey, let's deal with the problem, and we're really sorry it happened. So all we can say is, hey, we've made the best cable we can, we've designed it to last for as long as it can. All we ask you to do is try something in your system at home. If you like it, fantastic. If you don't like it, try something else instead, and let us know what you think. But the only people who can decide are you, customers, the consumers of music, listening to that in your system with your music in your own headspace. So try things at home and see where you get to. Thank you very much. It's been fun, and thank you to my handsome assistant for coiling everything up nicely.